offline. Yeah, it's still showing us as offline for me.
Hmm. Oh. The shit?
Oh, there you go. I see us. Like how you left it as Brad and then just a question mark?
I thought I did pretty good with that.
Yeah, we sound good.
Okay. Good shit. Okay, so now I got my podcasting mic.
Yeah, I gotta make sure this is still
All right.
Zencaster's got my.
Can we get a test in? What?
No, you need to use that microphone. Yeah, that's fine. There we go. All right, I'm gonna start the Zencaster. Make sure we're getting waves.
Okay, so you're hearing yourself on stream, is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Uh,
I'm getting waves.
I'm getting waves.
All right, we're wavy as fuck.
We wavy as fuck.
All right, so we're streaming. Stream's good. We look wavy.
Are we gonna stay in the tower? Or are we gonna hop up to podcasting?
Let's hop out to podcasting. That's fine.
Sam Han.
Samhan. All right.
All right, good talk, Sam.
Good input.
Yeah.
All right.
Good to hear from you, Sam.
I like it how we record on Wednesday and everybody doesn't listen. We're the only ones in here. You just switch things up by one day and nobody shows the fuck up.
Yeah.
All right. You tell me, are you ready?
Nope.
Are you wanting to host or you want me to host or how do you want to do it?
I'm good with either. I didn't know if we had a plan because it's two
Let's
man,
just
so it's kind
not
of weird to
host.
have.
So let's just back and forth it. I'll do the intro and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm like, hosting for two people is weird, but I feel like we can just do collaboratively down the whole thing.
Yeah. I figure, do you want to do 60-second tip is going to go long?
You're better at summarizing than I am because I also know nothing of Zyra
Okay, that's fine.
other than laning with her.
Why don't I have you do the iTunes reviews up front? Do you want to read those, or is like reading block text more my thing? I just don't want to talk for like 5 minutes.
Oh no,
straight.
I like doing the emails and iTunes reviews. That's fine. I like doing those.
All right. Why don't we just do like I'll do the intro, I'll have you read the emails, and then I'll do a 60-second tip, and then we'll go into the patch.
Sounds good.
All right, cool.
All right, and we're still getting waves on Zencaster.
Yee.
Sam Han, we're doing the 60-second tip. It's two people. We got to make the show last an hour.
660-second tip. Here we go. In Wayne's World, the countdown. 5, 4, 3. Hey everybody, and welcome to League of Legends Anonymous Podcast, episode 140, one day late for your pleasure. My name is Wise Papa Smurf, and Tyler and I are going to be rocking this episode 140 like duo style.
Yeah.
What's up, Tyler?
It's gonna be good. Not too much. I'm pretty excited. Pretty happy. It's a good day.
All right, you still Canadian?
Still Canadian. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, we're going to get this show started off. We're going to go a little bit out of order of what we usually do, and we're going to start with some iTunes reviews because we have those this week, so that's exciting.
Yeah, I like getting them.
A couple of those are international, so Tyler, why don't you help us out with some iTunes reviews, brah?
I mean, Australia's kind of like Canada, but for the South and way cooler. But this one,
Australia's nothing like Canada at all.
Yeah, I know they're way cooler than
Well,
all of us.
they say ka and we say ka. It sounds like kind of the same thing. No, it's
No, yeah,
not.
no,
It's
they're
not the
way
same
cooler
thing.
than all of us. Anyway, so this is titled "Informative and Entertaining," and it's from Nickname the Movie. And it says, I only recently discovered the LOLA podcast, and I wish I had found it earlier. It's brilliantly done. The hosts are knowledgeable and relatable. It's funny and informative, and the advice is clear and concise. The guys running it do a great job of engaging with the community. Keep up the good work.
Okay, do you think he was actually listening to this podcast, or
I don't know if he was listening
was
to
it
like a
just
different podcast or
was it
not.
just an accidental review for somebody else? I mean,
Yeah,
I'll take it.
he meant to type in like comedy bang bang, and
It's like,
yeah, those guys really know what they're talking about.
I only recently discovered Comedy Bang Bang, and I wish I had found it earlier. Anyway,
Yeah.
no, thanks, man. I appreciate you nicknamed the movie from Australia, and thanks for listening, mate. Did I do that right?
I think so.
That's how they do it?
Yeah.
All right. Because the only other thing I know is like Crocodile Dundee, and I've been informed by
Yeah.
Carrot
By
Colossus.
many in Australia, and
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I did an episode with Carrot Colossus on like Oswald or the Victor Show or something like that. I don't know. Where or no, it wasn't Carrot. It was Mod Bro. Did an episode with Mod Bro where we talked about Australian stereotypes, and it turns out that I don't know any of them correctly.
I just recently learned that I had know nothing about Australia because I an exchange student from, and they were pretty much like, "No, you guys all know nothing. It's all wrong."
Yeah, apparently like Vegemite is a thing.
Yeah, but I've told you got to like toast the bread, put a little bit of butter down first, and then it's like good.
Well, I mean,
That's like the Hugh Jackman way, at least.
Well, I mean, my understanding of it is it's kind of like Spam in Hawaii. You know, like they
don't know.
really
I've never
like
had
it there.
Spam.
Have you ever been to Hawaii?
No,
Oh, that's right, you're Canadian, and
I'm
therefore
23
have
and
no
broke.
fun.
That's why.
Oh no, I just pity you all of a sudden.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, it's a tropical paradise entirely unlike Canada.
Oh no, yeah, no, it's still a little cold here.
But yeah, so
That's
it's a
great.
cultural thing in Hawaii that they like fucking love Spam. And if you've ever
So
had,
weird.
do you know what Spam is, Tyler? Do they have
Oh
Spam?
yeah, I know what it is. It's just awful.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's awful. You can't cook it well. It always tastes like shit.
Yeah,
And they like put it in stuff. Like you can get spam and eggs and spam and blah 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 at like restaurants for breakfast. It
yeah.
is strange and disgusting and like 33 cents a can here or something terrible, right?
But they just love it.
But they love it, and I don't know why that is. And to me, like from what I understand of Vegemite, it seems like Australian spam, but it's not like made out of canned ham. It's just gross like spam, but they like it.
I've just been told it's like very salty, molassesy, like spread.
Okay, how do you get salty and molasses in the same sentence?
Like it's like the consistency of molasses, and it's dark like it. Like it has like the same consistency, but it's like really salty. I don't know if that's correct or not. That's just what I've been told because I've never tried it, right? But
Okay. But I
yeah,
mean, you could say that. Okay, never mind. Don't worry about it. Yeah,
yeah,
I'll go with that. We're probably way off, but thank you, buddy,
yeah,
from Australia,
yeah,
and please let us know more about your culture. So,
yeah.
the next one.
Another iTunes review from Hawkwolf as How to Get Good. I listened to several League podcasts to help my long commute go by, but if I had to pick just one, it'd be Lola. Hey, thanks, man. It's a great mix of education and entertainment with good production quality, and I know my game has improved because I'm a listener. These games have also, these guys have also created a great community that I hope to get more involved in. So if you're still reading this review, just subscribe already and find out how to get good, noob.
Amen. Dude, if I had to pick just one bird wolf hybrid, it would be hawk wolf.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not about like Eagle Fox or anything like that. Like I'm just not about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Animals into animals, man.
Yeah. I mean,
What
there's
could be
some
more
good hybrid
natural?
animals.
What could be more natural than that? Animal on animal action. All right, so
Yep.
as the conversation turns to bestiality on Beast, we're going to move on to 60-second tip. And this week it is written by Sam, so it's a 660-second tip. And it's on Zyra. So I'm going to take a deep breath and try to condense this into 60 seconds. Here we go. Zyra is a burst mage with tons of damage over time. The reason she works so well as a support is because she does well with magic penetration, which is a cheap way to be able to deal out damage to squishy carries. So as long as you have Ryleys and Leandries, those are affordable and strong, she will continue to deal tons of damage as her plants reapply those effects. So here's a couple of tips to help you play her. You can and should place your seeds during the travel and cast time of your Q or E abilities, because placing seeds first is a huge tip-off and red flag to the enemy that they need to get away. When sieging, plants will take aggro before minions, so you can use them to spare your minions a few hits if you need to. Plants can also tank objectives. This is very useful in the early game as it will save your jungler a lot of health on both the initial blue clear and taking early dragons. Your plants do less damage when they are activated by the same spell, so make sure you are spawning one of each plant if possible. Your E has a slow travel time. If you can have your Q plants apply a Rylai's slow, it can help you increase the chance of hitting the enemy with your E. Last, you might not know, but your ultimate applies damage on the cast, not on the knockup. So that means that you can use it to apply slows and damage immediately. Don't be afraid to use your ult to secure kills.
Yeah, it's so misleading. Everybody tries to scramble out to get away from the knockup, but that's not where the damage is.
Yeah, it's damage first, 1 second, 1.5 seconds, and then pop up CC. No damage.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit misleading. You would think that it would be like a Cho'Gath rupture or something where you take the damage and then you're knocked
Yeah,
up in
like the
air,
little
but
blast radius shows up, then the damage comes through, so you have a chance. But it's like, no, it's instantly in that area.
right. It's literally when you see the plants expand out from the middle of the circle. If the plants touch you, you're then damaged.
Yeah.
So there you go. 660-second tip on Zyra.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
And you know what's funny?
just-
He wrote a book, and I tried to talk really fast, and I still didn't make it anywhere near 60 seconds.
no.
Yeah,
Now,
but
the one thing
I had
I will
no
say
way of
about-
knowing that Sam was going to novelize the 60
yeah,
second tip.
I was talking to him earlier today, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll toss one in there for saved."
Yeah, I got
I
a
had
60
no
second
idea.
tip. Can you turn it into a book on tape?
You
This
can write
week's
a
LOLA
whole new
podcast.
100-episode podcast on Zyra.
This week's LOLA podcast brought to you by Audible.
Yeah.
Download our 60 second tip for free on Audible ebook.
This season is about Zyra.
All right, patch
Oh,
7.7 discussion. That's
Finally,
all we're
a
gonna
patch
do.
with some meat on it.
You know, you say that, and I feel the exact same way. I've read all these patch notes from the beginning of the season forward, and I've just felt like, well, even in this one, I still feel like Riot's kind of like not having their eye on the
They're
ball.
tiptoeing still, but a
Yeah.
little bit like heavier footfalls this time around that tiptoeing.
Right, I feel like while they're still tiptoeing through the tulips, they may have stepped on a couple of tulips this time. So
Yeah.
that brings us up
Yeah.
to some interesting points. And I mean, the one thing I have to say is I owe Ponophobia a nod, right? Because whenever the Bork changes went through, I made a post that was like, hey, what the hell? Like, these Bork changes, are they even really good for anybody? Right?
Yeah.
Turns out, yes, they are.
Very
For a
much
lot
so.
of people, it made a big difference. So he brought up Lucian. I said, okay, yeah, but Lucian, but besides Lucian, anybody? But yeah, there's a ton of other examples. So
Yeah.
nod to Ponophobia. You were right. I was wrong. There you go. Thank you for
Yeah.
the input, buddy. So, anyway, let's talk about Amumu. What do you think, Tyler? Well, first off, what were the changes? Can you just kind of summarize basically what the changes were?
Yeah, so they updated his passive. So Amumu's basic attacks, they used to reduce enemy magic resist by a certain amount per level. And then they caused well, sorry, it used to do that. Now it causes 15% of all magic damage to be dealt to the target as true damage. So instead of reducing magic resist, converts a percentage of the damage to true damage.
All right,
Wait.
so real quick, and this is really interesting
Mhm.
because I didn't think this when I first read it. I think it's important to note that it converts all magic
Yeah,
damage
not
dealt.
just damage done by Amumu.
Right. So
All damage.
anybody on your team that's doing magic damage now also gets like true damage, like
Yeah.
unmitigated damage buff.
And then the one change they made, because the one thing that I like that they've done is they've added a bit of a cohesiveness to his kit, is they changed his W Despair. That Despair refreshes that passive on all enemies hit by it. So that's your W, like his crying. And the damage now is applied once every half second instead of every second. So it's reapplying that new passive a lot more frequently once he like goes in to fight people.
Okay.
So
And
that's
then,
real strong.
the other point on Amumu is that his ult also applies the Curse Touch passive after the damage is dealt.
Yeah.
So, like, you don't have to basic attack exclusively, you can also ult.
Yeah, and same with his W just for fight auto attack people, unless you ult in. But I think it gives a lot of possibilities for team comps
Yeah, I
that you
mean,
don't.
it definitely makes, like, more AP team comps viable, but at the
Yeah.
same time, like, it's generally a very bad idea to build your comp, like, all AP.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the difference is if you build an all AD team comp, you're not so burst reliant because you can continuously whittle somebody, right?
Yeah.
But if you build an all AP team comp, all your damage is tied to cooldowns. And whenever you mitigate the damage from cooldowns, it hurts a lot more than mitigating the damage from auto attacks. Because
Yeah.
I can always fire more auto attacks. But if I lose, like, let's say the other team builds all MR and I do 75% less damage because they just build tons and tons and tons of MR, right? Well, if my combo doesn't kill you because you have all this mitigation, what am I going to do? Auto
Yeah. You're
attack
sitting there
you?
waiting for 15 seconds to
Yeah,
try and do it again.
exactly. So it actually, like, keep in mind, Amumu having this does not equate to let's have 4 APs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it
Like
doesn't
if you want to
work.
play Swain top with this as a Mumu jungle, it's probably going to hurt a lot more on a gank. But don't do it if you have like Ziggs AP carry, LeBlanc mid, and a Zyra ADC or a
Yeah,
support.
Zyra
Like,
support, yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, 5 AP is still going to be bad. I mean, because here, look at this, though. His passive, it causes 15% of all magic damage dealt to be dealt again as true damage, right?
mhm.
If that magic damage is mitigated,
Yeah,
then
the true damage
true
is
damage is
mitigated as
also
well.
going to be mitigated
Yeah,
before it is applied. Do you see
yeah.
what I'm saying? Because you can't mitigate true damage, but since the true damage is based on the damage dealt in
How much
magic,
damage? Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah,
So, yeah, it still is not, it's still not going to like save all MR, like all magic comps. That's not a good idea.
no. The one thing I do think though is if you were playing a Mumu or flirting with the idea of playing him and you're like plat lower, like gold, silver, bronze, you should probably pick him up because his own damage on him, like the damage he does, so really strong. You don't have to give up any tankiness to do it. He's still a good jungler. He just hurts a bit more now.
Yeah, I would agree with that absolutely. Well, I mean, he's always been like a Olympic elo monster. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like bronze, silver, gold. Dude is a monster.
yeah,
So don't forget about him. And I feel like he always goes under the radar, right? Like it's funny
yeah,
when I play with bronze players, they all like are afraid of blitz. Because positioning errors causes blitz to be way better, right? But they should be afraid of a Mumu.
yeah.
So
Amumu is an absolute terror, especially like I think one of the issues too is that a lot of people at lower elo are like, hey, I've gotten like 2 kills early and I've set up 3 ganks. I'm gonna build him with a bit more AP. Don't do it, because AP like one shot a Mumu or too much AP on a Mumu it does not work. Just stick to going tanky. If you want to go some damage, get like a Leandries, maybe an Abyssal, but like you're better off being tanky with some cooldown direction. Like just drastically better as a champion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, but that's the thing is like your damage. Like he can actually get big with AP. He can. I mean that
Oh
is
yeah.
real. So if you really wanted to be like I'm gonna be an AP guy. Okay, cool. Pick like Rod of Ages or something.
Yeah.
And then still build like that tanky AP build, like where you go Rod of Ages, then like a Rylai's, and then build some like mitigation stuff.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do, that is a viable build, and it's particularly viable in low elo.
Yeah. If
But
you're just trying him out though, like having stuff like a frozen heart on him as he goes in, he applies that debuff on everybody. It adds more mana, and he's pretty mana reliant on a lot of his stuff, and he's kind of mana hungry, and gives you a good amount of CDR. Like, that's a great item on him. So
yeah,
stuff like that.
I mean, I would agree with that. Like, here's the by the way, whenever we say build tanky, and that's better, it's because his W does percent damage.
Yeah.
So you'll do damage anyway.
His base stats are not bad. Like
Not
early
at
game, his
all.
Q hurts.
His ult hurts like a
Yeah.
motherfucker.
Yeah. Oh man, the amount of times I've been killed by an Amumu when I'm like, "You're low, I can kill you," and then I can't move for 5 seconds, and he's just sitting there crying and shredding you, and it's nonsense.
He's in there just crying. That's such a weird way.
That's
Such a
what he's
weird way to
doing.
imagine this champion. Just yeah, he's just sitting there bawling his little bitch eyes out on you,
One comment
melting
I
your
saw
skin.
following the buff was like, "Is he gonna have friends now?" And immediately everyone's like, "No,
No,
still no."
no, no, he's not. No. So, next champion that's up that is a significant patch change is Bard, and I really wanted
Yeah,
to talk about Bard.
I've thought of you when this change went through.
Yeah, I love me some Bard. So, that being said, here's the deal with Bard. Bard was good before.
I was happy that people didn't know that because as like an ADC main, I hate playing against a bard that knows what they're doing. It's miserable. It's painful.
Yeah,
It's
and
not
like
fun.
that's the thing is like Bard was good before. His base damages, his level 1 was nuts.
He's
Yeah,
1v1 an 80 carry at 30 minutes. Have
yeah,
any
like
items?
I mean, you could do a lot of shit that
Yeah.
was just really, really good. So what they have done instead is now they're like, well, we don't really want to fuck with Bard's like kit on his base damages and stuff in terms of his like Q, and that's the only real damage spell that Bard has. But
Yeah.
Bard's passive has a lot of power in it, but it also is like guaranteed to be a delayed power because you still have to go chime collecting, and that's what makes there's like two things that make a really good bard. The ability to like snake cues through stuff and create awkward stuns,
Yeah.
and then like knowing when to chime and when to lane.
That's actually a point that I was going to say is a lot of bards are almost afraid to do it. You have to be confident in leaving your ADC behind and knowing when to do that because chime collection is huge. Like you have to get used to that confidence of going out and doing that.
Oh, I mean
Like
absolutely. I don't think I like I said that's I'm an okay bard versus I'm a great bard, and that's the difference maker, right? So we actually got a question on this in Discord the other day. Somebody asked me like, "Well, when am I supposed to be getting chimes?" And I said, "Well, generally, like rule of thumb, whenever you roam, whenever you ward, and whenever you're low on mana are the three times that you're really looking to go get those chimes, right?"
yeah.
So now that we've talked about that, all of the chime tiers have been rewritten. And every time, Meeps gain 15 damage for every 5 chimes, no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay, so keep in mind, like, your damage is going to climb steadily, whereas before it was like, you're going to get a slow, now some damage. You're going to get a Meep, now some damage. You're going to get hitting in a cone, now some damage, right?
And now it's all damage with bonus stuff.
Yeah, but now it's like slightly. Well, see, before it was like whenever you hit damage, you'd get like you're going to get 25. You're going to get another 25. Now you're going to get 30. Now you're going to get 30. Now you're going to get 35. Now, like that, right?
Yeah.
And so what they've done is they've just planed that out to be a consistent growth curve. And where you would before just get damage, now you get more functionality of your meeps earlier. And I want to cover some of those, some of those major changes, right?
Yeah,
So-
like there's a full list of chimes, and it's like up on the website. It's going to be on his bio. Like you can look it up because like it goes all the way up to 150 in increments of 5. So obviously we're not going to
yeah,
wrap
but
up every single one.
everything after 100 is just plus 15 damage in addition to the 15 damage you already get.
Yeah,
So
which
it's
is
actually
ridiculous.
plus 30
Yeah,
every chime after 100. So,
Yeah.
but no, here's what I want to talk about. And like there's some like key what's the word I'm looking for? Key breaking points from the old pattern that are really important to hit.
Yeah.
So before it used to take 15 chimes to get an extra meep. Now it takes 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Now at 15, it gives you a cone, like you hit and your chimes explode out in a cone, or your meep explodes in a cone, right? That used to happen at 25.
Yeah.
At 20, you get 7-second meep respawn. That used to happen at 35.
Again, sooner.
It's like all of these things that make his meep attacks better are now happening like 3 rounds of chimes earlier.
Yeah.
So
I'm really nervous for the one change that I know is coming up that you haven't mentioned yet about how many meeps he can now have.
But here's the thing: that's like hyper late game Bard, and he was.
I'm still
already
not excited.
Gross. Well, sure, but I mean, he was already really gross in the late game. So
Yeah.
let's talk about that.
But at 65 charms, though, he already breaks how many he used to have.
Right. So 65 is the I'm ahead of what I used to be able to do maximum. Because it used to be at 95, he would have 4, right?
Yeah.
Now it's at 65, he has 5. And he gets 4 at 50, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
But at 65, he gets 5. At 80, he gets 6. At 90, he gets 7. At 100, he gets... 95, he gets 8. And 100, he gets 9.
And on that 5th one that we mentioned like just a second ago, the damage cone size increases too. So all your ones that you're gaining that you never used to have.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. That's what it used to do.
Oh, that's what it used to.
damage
Oh, I see
cone
what it's
size
how it's
increase.
grayed out. Yeah.
Now it does one more
Yeah.
meep.
Oh, that's just. I'm not excited for how many meeps. I mean, that Snow Day Bard skin's now immediately the best skin because of the little penguins falling.
Yeah, all the penguins are great.
But-
But I mean, that being said, like I said, what's crazy is this probably means Bard is broken right now because there is
Yeah.
no accompanying nerf here.
No, it's just straight. Hey, he was pretty good. Let's make him better.
Well, it's like, and that's the thing is, Bard wasn't just pretty good; he was real good,
Yep.
but had a very high skill curve. And now
Yeah.
he's very, very good and has a really high skill curve.
Well,
So-
and I went out and I was curious about the response because like there's a lot of like pro players and ex-pro players that are like support mains that are all big Bard players for the reason that you just mentioned, that he has such a high like skill. Like he never landed in a good spot because people never took the time to learn all the little like, when do you go for chimes, how do you hit your stun, where to place you in your
you
healing
had your like
pads,
prolific
right?
Bard players, like you had your prolific like
Oh,
Lee
like
Sin
Afromu
players.
and Crepo and like those guys. When this came out, I watched part of Crepo's stream. I swear to God, it was like him winning the lottery.
Yeah, I know.
He's
You kind
you
of
couldn't
wonder if
believe
like
it.
Crepo wrote this. You know what
oh
I mean?
yeah,
Like,
he just like slid it across the table and they're, you know what, we did call you scumbag for 3 years.
he just
That's
slid it
fine.
across the desk and then like sat back smugly and put his feet up on the desk and was like, "You will do this for me."
And they're like, why? He's like, you called me scumbag for 10 years.
For
You can do
10
this one favor. You can do this one favor for me for a patch even.
Yeah.
Like,
So basically, what I'm saying is Bard's utility went through the roof, and his
yeah,
damage didn't really take a hit.
no, and he's yeah,
And
late
he
game he's
like,
gonna be absurd.
and he got like a banana clip of meeps towards the end
Yeah.
game. It's fucking
Oh my
ridiculous.
god. I'm
So
not excited to like. Oh, so yeah, Bard's just randomly in the bot lane. Go kill him, and I'm playing 80 carry. I'm like, no, you go kill him.
I
Like,
wonder. Okay, so here's the theory crafting bit that I now want to do. Right.
yeah,
Um, I always used to build Bard pure tank
yeah,
because there's no point in doing anything but adding to his base damage because you can chime solo squishies and you
yeah,
run away from people who will be able to take your burst, right?
yeah,
And nobody can catch Bard, right?
yeah.
So here was my thought. Towards the end game, would you build like a tanky attack speed item like Wit's End?
I could see it, or
Because
even like a Rylai's earlier than that, because he does have
well, no, I
in
mean like not damage, just
just like
attack
utility,
speed. No,
like
no,
for
attack speed. Because if you can throw out 9 meeps, when are
oh, and
you
just like
ever
machine
gonna
gun
get
at
9
people.
auto attacks off without some attack speed?
Yeah, and just like machine gun them at people.
Yeah, because I'm okay. So let me see here. So you've got 20 tiers to 100, and 100 meeps gives you 9, right?
Yeah,
So you've had 20 damage upgrades at 15 damage a pop,
yeah,
right? So that's 300 damage a meep times 9. You have the ability to do 2,700 base damage
yeah,
in like I said, you got a machine gun in your pocket now with Bard. That's fucking retarded. The amount of
yeah.
damage you can spit out. But you have to be able to get 9 auto attacks off. So
I
does
I could honestly see that then as a last item.
you know what I mean? It would have to be like a
Like
last item because you don't really get any advantage to it until you get up into like the way high chime counts.
now, would you want to? Because I'm not like I don't know what you're running now for a rune page, but would it not be more worth it to run attack speed AP?
His scalings aren't super great. I mean, his scalings on his meeps are okay. You know,
Yeah, because you
what I was thinking is you may want to run like the reason I thought like Wit's End in particular is because it gives good attack speed. You have the 40 bonus on hit magic damage. So and keep in mind you're multiplying that by like 9. So instead of
yeah,
doing 300 base, you'll do 340,
yeah,
right? So and then the basic attacks reduce the target's magic resist by 5, which stacks up to
mhm,
5 times. And I'm imagining maybe the Meep Splash will carry, but I don't know that. That seems kind of out there to say, but you know,
yeah,
40% attack speed is really good. You get 40% magic resistance, which again, defensive stats on Bard is what you want to buy, right?
yeah.
So I could see that being really good. And then the only other one I can think of that would be really good on Bard would be like maybe a Gnasher's Tooth.
Yeah, if you're like ahead and you don't
Yeah,
need the
if
MR.
you're like way ahead and you have and you don't need the MR, it gives you. And the reason I say Gnashers is because you can get 20% CDR.
Yeah, and
That
you're still getting AP just so your Q hurts more just in general.
yeah, because I mean, like the only concern I have with Gnashers as an item is like, yeah, it's AP, but you don't get a whole lot out of your AP ratios, right?
Yeah.
So like the Cosmic Binding has a 65% AP ratio. That's pretty good, but that's your only damaging ability that's not Meep Slaps.
Yeah, so just having that extra damage might not even be worth not having just the extra MR
But I
and
mean, the Meep
the on
Slaps
hit.
hit hard as fuck. So there's
Yeah.
there's
Well,
that.
and I mean the Wits End. I think Wits End might end up just being better than the extra on hit damage, the meat slaps, the attack speed. You're gonna get the extra like mitigation, which Bard doesn't hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's that's what I was really looking for whenever I saw like, you know, this is okay. So that's what I was looking for is I want defensive bonuses, right? Oh, and the Meeps have a 30% AP
Yeah, so
AP
still not a
ratio.
massive ratio,
Right.
but
But I mean, hey, 30% AP on top of like 9 attacks is huge. And like
yeah.
a lot of people built a Lich Bane with it. Like I've seen that done with Bard, and I don't know how that exactly works because I guess the Meep would count as a spell cast or something for Lich Bane. But
Okay.
I've seen people
Yeah.
blow up people with bards just and
I've
bard
been
like
killed by
attacks.
many bards doing a bunch of nonsense before, so I've probably been there.
Yeah. So I mean, all that said, it seems like AP could be okay if you have if you get towards the end game. But like Nasher seems like a really greedy thing. Wits in seems like something that would actually be good for what you're
Yeah.
trying to do with Bard.
Yeah.
So, all right,
Yeah.
that's probably enough about Bard. I'm really excited to play him if I decide to play support again, which I probably will.
Yeah.
Bard. Okay, so there's the next two I put on the list because I thought they were overrated. As to
I just
like
yeah.
not like overrated in terms of a champion, but overrated in terms of everybody. Like the reaction from
Freaking
the
out. Yeah.
community was like, "Oh my god, this person's gonna be so broken now," right?
Yeah. See, I only have a comment about the first one on here, Kassadin.
Okay.
And it
Well,
was
first off, what happened? What'd they do?
yeah, okay. So Kassadin, they did a little bit of a fix on Netherblade his W, where his empowered attack is no longer canceled if that target leaves range during its windup. So you were about to slap somebody, they moved slightly out of range, it would cancel the ability. Obviously, that's not how it's supposed to work. It was already through. It should have connected.
Yeah.
They kind of fixed that.
Well, just as a background thing, the reason that that's a bug fix is because for melee attacks, in order to cancel the melee attack, you have to break vision.
Yeah.
Okay, so like there was an LCS play where there was a auto attack that was going to come down and kill somebody, and they flashed into the bush, right? And because they flashed into the bush, it canceled the auto. But if they would have flashed straight backwards, it would have killed them because the auto would have went through.
Yeah. And we've
And
all
then
been in those times where you think you flashed away from like someone in lane and you're like, what? How did they kill me? It's because their auto attack probably.
yeah, and it makes no sense that a melee auto attack would follow you, but it does
Yeah,
unless
it
vision is.
technically went through like the animation threshold while you were in range and then you flashed out of it even though it already went through. Like it's weird, but yeah.
Yeah,
This
just
just
trust me,
didn't
you
do
have to
that.
flash out of vision for that shit to work.
Yeah.
So the trick in that particular play is the guy tried to ward the bush before the auto attack finished, and if he would have done that, it wouldn't have canceled the auto,
Yeah.
which is weird. You know, to think that there's like play and counterplay to that at that level is amazing. But
Yeah, no, that's a level I'm never playing at.
yeah, no
Uh,
shit, right? So I mean, this what it does is it treats Kassadin's W like it's an actual melee auto attack.
which is what it's worded as an empowered auto attack.
Right. So I
Like
mean,
it's
this
just
only
a
makes sense. It's not a buff; it's a bug fix buff.
yeah, that's why they called it a buff fix because it's not really a buff. It's just working as every other auto attack does.
Right. And the amount of times that that's really going to affect you is probably not going to be all that often.
No, you'd have to play quite a bit of casting and you would have noticed it, and now you won't.
Now you won't.
Uh, Other than that, they did reduce the cooldown of his Force Pulse by 5 seconds. This is the point I'm going to touch on. And then they upped the ability power ratio of his Rift Walk by zero point 0.1. So it went from 0.2 to 0.3. Now, Kassadin is one of those scary mid laners where if he gets strong, he becomes the biggest nightmare, like Season 3, where he was banned 90% of games. And if he went through, you dodged. Because he's a nightmare. But this buff won't do it. He's still only something you should pick into certain matchups. Because like his W fix that had to happen because just you have to have some continuity for how abilities work. The damage buff to his R, that's not where he was getting the damage in fights anyway. Like his R wasn't the be all end all. The damage is in his E. When he E's in the middle of 4 people to wipe somebody out, his E's where the first big pop of damage comes. And like it's that 1 second cooldown helps a lot, but they didn't change the damage on it. So he still has to go in, put himself in risk, and it's going to be up immediately. It's going to be up a little bit quicker. Like that's the biggest part of what they've changed. But it's still not like they didn't buff the ratio or the base damage on it. So you're just going to be having it a bit quicker if you still know how it stacks.
Yeah, and then the Rift Walk thing the other thing I want to point out on Rift Walk, right? Well, first off, Force Pulse, the E where he shoots out the slow. Remember that has to be charged by people using abilities before
Yeah.
you can unlock it, even if it's off cooldown. So he still has to take that ability, and his laning phase is still going to be fairly shit.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to, even if that's a 5 second cooldown, it doesn't really matter because it's not going to be up every 5 seconds.
No, and he has an awkward leveling process anyway. Like if you really get in Kassadin, like you put like I think it's 2 points in Q or 3 points in Q, and then you max your E. Like it's a weird leveling process. Like when you have mastery set level 7 on Kassadin, like that's how you do it. And that 1 extra second's not really gonna, because like what you were just saying, you still have to get it up.
Yeah, you still have to get it up. So, but then the AP ratio on Riftwalk, I can't remember. Did we talk about this already? Because my brain went like 30 different places.
We just talked about the 0.1
Yeah,
AP increase.
Point one is actually a pretty large number shift whenever you talk about a a cooldown that's low, right? And that's the thing about Kassadin is the more he uses his ultimate, the more he makes himself worthless as he runs out of mana.
Yeah. It does
So,
not take a long time to get up to that 800 per rift walk.
oh hell no. But that being said, the ratio increase is great, but remember base values help you do damage early, ratios help you do damage when ahead.
Now,
Right?
and this is a point to this too. He doesn't build a lot of AP. He has a hard time breaking like the 500 mark because he doesn't really build Rabadons. He builds like Rod of Ages, Lichbane, Zanya's, maybe a Morello's, and like a Void Staff. Like he's not really stacking AP as other AP champions will. So like it helps the damage a bit, but he's still not just like stacking every needlessly item on there because he does still have to have some tankiness to him, right?
Right. But if he snowballs, this will help him snowball. And that's probably a good thing because that's Kassadin's kit. As much
Yeah,
as everybody may hate a snowballing Kassadin, it's hard to get there, right?
yeah.
And I would even go as far as to say in the current game, Kassadin, even with these buffs, is a bad Katarina.
He's a situational pick into very few picks. Like
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, tell
he's
me in one scenario, situationally or not, that he's better than Katarina at what he does.
yeah, it would be tough because
Like,
Katarina's does it really really well.
right, and she can get in and out without blowing her whole fucking mana pool, and she can ward hop, and she can, she can do
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah,
So,
the only champion that like I will actively pick Kassadin in simply because Rise is entirely countered by Kassadin.
yeah, the
His
spell
entire
shield
kit.
is pretty big. But like I said, that's the
But
thing is you say he's like a counter pick, but it's weird because he's the only counter pick I know that has a shit balls laning phase.
yeah, it's weird.
Like
If
you
you get a
still have
kill
to
with
know how.
Kassadin like before 6, your lane your opponent messed up.
Yeah, they totally fucked up. But
Yeah.
so, I mean, it's weird because he's like that niche guy, and it's kind of hard to justify like maining a niche champion. You know.
Yeah. I
But if you
mean,
like Caston, I mean, put in the work. All right, next one that comes to mind in terms of overreaction. Lux.
Yes, this keeps coming up in the Discord too. People keep asking what we think about it, and I've had the same answer every time.
So what's your answer?
It's quality of life over buff, in my opinion. Like you're being rewarded for hitting ability that people think is easier to hit than it is. Like if you ever played like a lot of Lux, you miss more like a lot of ability, like a lot of final sparks, unless you're like lining up that QE alt situation. You know what I mean? Like
Okay,
sometimes you're just going for it for a
so I
pickoff or
just want to
something.
talk about this for a second. Remember, Lux's cooldown on her ult is real friendly anyway,
Yeah,
right?
that's fair.
Like, it's. Let's see. Let's pull up the numbers here while I'm looking. Okay, so the cooldown is 80, 65, 50.
Yeah,
Okay? Now, I'm going to assume that you're going to build 40% CDR because everybody does, right?
because it's Lux. Yeah.
Because it's Lux, but you're not going to have 40% CDR at 6. You may have 20 if you build like a Morello or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's assume that you have 20 CDR, then 1/5 of your 80 is going to go away. So you're looking at about 15, like 15 seconds off of your 80-second cooldown. Like I didn't
Mm-hmm.
do the math on that, but I guess I can. I just kind of did it in my head real quick. But 80 uh, divided by, what did I say? 20. It was a 20% cooldown reduction.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 16 seconds off.
Yeah. So 64
So
second cooldown
64 seconds. So you got a minute. And if you kill somebody, then you get
goes down by another
10% of the
10%.
remaining cooldown. That is a
So yeah,
whopping 6.6 seconds.
yeah,
If you even notice that, I would be shocked. Because, I
yeah,
mean, this ability is up all the goddamn time anyway.
yeah.
Okay? So the reality is the numbers aren't that extreme. So let's assume that, like, let's do it again, but assume that you are now level 11, right? So you have a 65-second cooldown. I'm assuming you got to 40% CDR at this point, right? So that means your ult is up every 39 seconds. And you're going to get a refund of 30% of that remaining ult. That is an 11-second reduction.
Yeah.
So let's see, what was it? 39 seconds is what I had said.
Yep.
39 seconds minus 11, it'll be up again in 28 seconds. If you get a kill with it, right?
Yeah. You have to. Your laser has to be the reason the person dies,
Yeah.
not you
But
get shot by it.
even then, you're probably not going to have it up twice in a team fight. You may try to be able to pick off a straggler at the end of a team fight with it.
Yeah.
Maybe. But if Lux, I mean, it's not like you're just going to be able to chain gun final sparks at people, right? Let's
No.
talk about the most egregious case where the cooldown is 50, you're going to have 40% CDR, so it's a 30-second cooldown, and you get half of that back, so your ult could be up in 15 seconds if you get a kill.
The only time I can see this being a big deal is if you are sieging or defending a siege. Because then it just makes her very, very good at that. Like when you hit like that level 3 alt, you definitely should have at least 30 to 40% CDR. It's going to get annoying then, but
Mm-hmm.
only then. And even then, like if you're in a
Well,
full
keep
team
in
fight,
mind, this is level 16.
yeah, like
And before this, like, what did Lux? I mean, even at 50 seconds, right? Even at
yeah,
50 seconds, with 40% CDR, you're at 30 seconds. That's, I mean, 15 is better by a long shot, but 30 ain't bad either.
no,
So you were firing your ult all the damn time. Now that's only going to be different if you get a kill. And if you get a kill in a like fucking level 16 plus game, you're probably looking to do something crazy. Like
and if for
end the
anyone
game.
that's played a lot of Lux, and I used to. I don't anymore. I'm not pulling an Ernie either. I have played her. Um, when you are throwing your full combo out and you ult somebody, a lot of the times you end up getting left behind if your team has won that fight, and you're just kind of like running down mid lane behind your team after the fight. Like it puts you behind them, and it sucks sometimes. So if you're just sitting there trying to fire off like an ult every 15 seconds at level 16, you might not want to do that either. You know what I mean? Like you might want to be more throwing more EQs out at that point anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just gonna be sitting there being an alt bot.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, that being said, I am actually glad because at the end game, it really felt like I'm Lux. I'm going to hit one combo and that's my job.
Yeah.
And now the team fight is largely over for me. I'll keep trying to throw out shit and maybe throw a shield or two, but mostly my job is to try to snare one target and blow that ass up, right?
Yeah.
Or hit as many people as I can with my ults after I land an E on a group, right?
Yeah.
That hasn't changed. She's just a little better at it.
Yep.
And this is not like it is a rare thing in League of Legends when the buff hits meaningfully at level 16 that a huge difference is made.
Yeah.
You know what
The
I
only
mean?
thing I see her win rate jumping up in is ARAM.
Yeah, ARAM, that will be gross. ARAM
It's
will
gonna
be
be a
gross. You are
nightmare.
correct.
Yeah.
So, okay, last on our list, Galio. What do you think, man?
Um, it was just some interesting stuff that I've been seeing throughout the week. Because his Q damage was absolutely ridiculous, and it still kind of is. But you have to lean more into AP if you still want that damage to be there. Like his damage isn't just I can build whatever I want, and my Q's still gonna like two shot you, and it's like, well, no, like that it doesn't work that way anymore. It's not a huge tone down at every level. It is a little bit, um, but it still hurts and it pisses me off because it's such an easy thing to fix. I think because they up the ability power ratio, but they just reduced the max the percent damage he was doing. So all people have been doing is building a Morello's or an Abyssal instead of one tanky item, and he's still hurting just as much.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think that the deal that, like a lot of people didn't get with Galio was just how abusive that Q damage was.
Yeah.
And yeah, you shouldn't be able like there's a few champions in League of Legends that I have a problem with because they can just build tank and do a stupid amount of base damage, right? And they weren't intended to fill those kind of roles, right? Sion being one. And that's why you can play him support, is because he does a stupid amount of base damage and he gets so naturally tanky that you
Yeah.
don't have to build that damage. I feel as though Galio also kind of fits that niche with a whole bunch more utility, or at
Yeah.
least a whole bunch different utility, I guess, because Sion has a lot of utility in his kit too.
Yeah, he does.
But I mean, I feel like Galio right now is Sion 2.0.
Well, and what I keep seeing, like more, like I mentioned the Abyssal Scepter, but what I've been seeing is they pick up a Morellonomicon. You get CDR, which helps because his abilities hurt and they seem like they're up always anyway. Um, it gives more damage to his Q now because the ability ratio went up by a decent amount, and it gives him mana. Like, why wouldn't he want that item? And then he's
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. I think they still need to tune him down a bit because he's still flirting with that high 40s or flat 50 win rate in like 4 rolls,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
And like I said, anybody that's like a 4 roll threat is a little ridiculous anyway, so you know something's out of whack there when you
Yeah,
can succeed damn near anywhere you put them.
yeah.
So,
Now the only thing though is that that's not necessarily a bad thing that somebody has like that a champion has flexibility, because that adds like team comp diversity and like it adds some cool aspects to the game. But what I don't want to see is Riot also pigeonhole him either and be like, no, you are only a top laner now. because sometimes that also sucks, and that's not also great for Stems for champion health, because if that happens, he could get outclassed pretty heavily by other tanks there, for example. There's like a better way of balancing than just like a straight nerf, or like, you can only do this now. So I'm kind of curious to how they're going to handle it.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I entirely agree with that. I'm not saying that like the ability to do a bunch of roles is a bad thing. I am, because that honestly, if you're looking for a main, like Annie used to have that, right?
Yeah.
And now she can't play support as well, but she can still go mid and she can still go top. You know, yeah, and there's a few champions like that. Oddly enough, now that I'm making the point, none of them come to mind. But you
Well,
know,
there's even just some that flex between like mid lane and top lane, which isn't as much of a stretch, but like a lot of top laners flex into jungle and a junglers flex into top lane.
like
But
Jax.
yeah, or even Diana. You could play her top, you can play her mid, you could play her jungle. Top lane's
Rengar.
probably the weakest of the three, but it still technically works.
Yeah, like Rengar, you can do that with, and
Yeah.
there's a couple others.
Xin Zhao, Wukong, Pantheon.
Occasionally Volibear, but he's not that good top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's cases where it works and that it's not necessarily unhealthy for the game. So hopefully they take a little bit more reserved way
Oh.
of balancing him comparatively what they have done in the past.
One more thing I want to add before we get off patch 7.7
Yeah.
is those Nunu buffs. I don't want to talk about them. I don't want to tell you what they are. If you are into Nunu, read those buffs because he could be sneaky OP.
I'm gonna disagree with that, but we won't get into it.
No, I know. Here's what I mean by sneaky OP. Nunu was always really good at doing what Nunu did, which is being fucking worthless and making somebody else fucking worthless.
You just be a giant annoying pain in the ass.
Right, and if you played that and you played that style well, it's stupid. How much you can impact a game. Like his game
a really
impact,
good Nunu was the worst thing to play against from any position on the map.
Yeah. Well, I mean, except support, because that's just, he's the worst support ever. But that being said...
I mean, like, if you were against a good Nunu jungle, you felt it if you were playing top, mid, ADC.
Okay. I thought you meant playing against a good Nunu, playing anywhere.
Oh, no. If you were playing against a good Nunu, every lane felt it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I understand that. So, I mean, that being said, he's always been good at what he does, and to make him... it feels a lot like the Bard change. Like, he was already good. And now you just
He was sitting in the top 10 win rates.
Yeah, it's like he was already good, and you're just like, hey, let's just make it better.
Yeah, now, if you go and read the buffs, what I've seen a lot of people, and like we're not going to go into the numbers, a lot of people looked at the buffs and like the numbers that were buffed, but did not look that they did decrease some of the base stats so that it didn't just go full overboard. But don't forget to look at that. I keep seeing that being neglected.
Yeah.
But
what I'm saying is, though, if you're in Nunu, read it, because it's
check
a buff.
it out.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Now, we had a couple of questions. One was from the Facebook community, and I'll just read the question, or at least the gist of the question, and then you answer it for me, okay? Because you're Mr. ADC.
Yep.
All right, so here we go. Lucas from our Facebook group, which is neat because it makes it so much easier to interact with people on Facebook. So join the group, please. Anyway, Lucas writes in and he says, can you talk about stacking Statik Shiv, Rapid Fire Cannon, and Warlords? I'm just imagining Jin's fourth shot or Vayne with all three.
Okay. Issue with stacking Shiv and Rapid Fire. It sounds like it would be really annoying and really strong. It does not work the way you think. That energizing shot is a unique passive they both share. So what ends up happening is, because Rapid Fire Cannon, you're going to hit the person with that effect first. It does whatever... Okay, I always suck at explaining this one. Whichever is going to do the most damage, that is applied, and then Statik Shiv is applied to those around them. So they do not get the damage from the both do not stack. That was patched out, I think it was like 5-6. The damage does not stack. So it's strictly...
Here's the thing. To the uninformed user who didn't know of this eccentricity, you will see your rapid fire cannon auto attack go off, and then you'll see lightning fly out, and you'll do a whole bunch of damage because you crit, right?
Yeah.
Well, the reality is you're only getting one of those procs in terms of damage to your initial target, and then the lightning will continue to go off
Yeah.
as it normally would.
Yeah. So the reason is, so say you take somebody like Jin, do not stack attack speed items on Jin. He needs one attack speed item, and it's rapid fire cannon, and that's the only one he needs.
So background, that's because Jin doesn't get attack speed. Everything
No.
scales into AD.
And the only reason why he takes that is because hitting somebody with that fourth shot at a greater range is still valuable with the increased damage from the proc. It doesn't make him scale any harder though. So you need that one item, and that's pretty much only if you're going to go the crit build. You buy that item,
So-
and it hurts.
Jin is usually built either crit or pin.
Lethality, yeah.
Yeah, so that is what you really need to focus on. You do rapid fire cannon is good on him, but it's good on him because it extends the range for like I auto attacked you once, twice, 3 times. Now you're out of my range. Shit. Well, you won't be because I'm gonna have rapid fire cannon.
Yeah. And
So
yeah. And now Vayne, she wouldn't synergize with this well because she does better with items like Phantom Dancer. Like the reason why Vayne, the triple crit build works on her is because they made buffs to her Q in a prior patch, which I don't remember the exact wording, but it made it so that like her tumble can crit. So the triple crit works because you get the extra damage from Q. Because there's even a joke now among AD carry players where it's like you max Q to win lane and then E wins you the game. So like you're purposefully doing less damage in team fights so that you win lane harder because of the crit bonus you get from your tumble. Also, you benefit more from Phantom Dancer because of the unit ignoring unit collision passive that it gives you. So going Phantom Dancer first is just strictly better because getting minion blocked as Vayne is probably the most aggravating thing ever when your passive is trying to proc and you're trying to chase somebody down and a minion blocks you. That feels really, really bad. And the only reason why you get Shiv on her is so that she has wave clear. If there was a better item that provided wave clear, or if she had innate wave clear, she probably wouldn't get it. She would get Phantom Dancer and Rapid Fire. But she needs wave clear, so she gets Shiv. And Warlords is obviously good with them because of the insane heal you get once you have the 3 items. And only once you have the 3 items. Before that, it's kind of lackluster. Yeah.
hell yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So that being said, if you do want to attack, or if you want to do stacking attack speed and crit items, build Phantom Dancer for sure.
Yeah, unless you're like Caitlyn or Jinx and maybe Tristana, then you're getting Runins and then Rapid Fire, or Runins and then Shiv. That's it.
Yeah. But you can mix like Shiv and Phantom Dancer, or Rapid Fire Cannon and Phantom Dancer, because they don't have that same energized shot passive effect.
Yeah.
So that's just a thought. So if you want to experiment with attack speed builds, you can mix all those items we just talked about, but not the 2 items you specifically asked about.
Now, if you go look this up now, you are going to find conflicting information because they are looking at a change to canon on the PBE for the mid-season patch. It's not there yet. They are just talking about it. And it's a passive change, which we're not going to talk about yet. But yeah, because I went to go do some research before this episode about this question, and that's the first thing I found. So it does not stack right now. It has no synergy, really.
Okay, so I have a brief aside I want to talk about real quick, just as a general gamer's piece of information, right? Do not game on Wi-Fi. Don't do it.
No.
Okay? So one of my friends, I'm in a forum with a bunch of my friends, right? And we're all talking, and there has been over 200 messages from this guy today. It's like, this is bullshit. I'm calling Google Fiber. My fucking packet loss is so stupid. Blah, 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 blah. Like, all fucking day. I've read messages and messages and messages, and I've started to ask him. I'm like, you wouldn't happen to be doing this like Wi-Fi, right? You're hardwired, right? No, no, man, I do Wi-Fi. Is the microwave between your router and your computer? Oh yeah, right in the middle, and like four walls. Mmm.
Playing on a desktop with a wireless adapter.
Yeah, like, don't complain about your ISP sucking when you've moved your computer a mile away from your access point and you have like a whole bunch of obstructions. Like, I can't play in my concrete apocalypse bunker in the backyard with my Wi-Fi being in the house. This is bullshit, Google. Like, I put a
Yeah.
tinfoil hat on my computer and it won't even pick up Wi-Fi signal. This is horseshit. Government's gonna be able to read my thoughts. Like, what the fuck? Like, hardwire your shit if you're
Yeah.
playing any kind of video game, because you need that stability of connection.
Yeah. Okay. And this is a strategic point to this, and especially because I know a lot of people listen to this are like around like my age or students or some people, newer people I've talked to. If you're a student, plan for that shit. Like I'm moving into a new house at the end of the month, and I already planned where we're putting the modem so that everything can be hardwired.
Oh, here's another thing. Here's another thing that you can do, because this exact thing happened to me in my office. I had one computer that was way too far away from the access point that we couldn't carry a reliable Wi-Fi signal. So there's like a Netgear deal where you can plug into your wall, and then you plug in your internet cord into the device that's plugged into your wall, and it runs internet signal through your power
Yeah,
outlets.
range extender.
Yeah, no, 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 not a range extender, because a range extender picks up the Wi-Fi signal and then bounces it. This
Oh,
is
it
an
just straight up.
adapter that you plug an Ethernet cord in, and then it runs your Wi-Fi signal through your power grid to another one that's plugged in somewhere else in the building.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, it can go up to a gig. It
Oh,
can,
wow.
it can take up to a gig of Wi-Fi signal through like
That's
your
crazy.
your house's power outlets. So if you like literally can't move your computer, it's only like $39 for that adapter. Just buy that. I've used it. They work. Netgear makes them. Do that. It's so
Yeah,
much better than
I've
running on
I
Wi-Fi.
used to play on Wi-Fi every once in a while at the university when they were doing maintenance. Like sometimes they would come in and your Ethernet cable would get clipped and you had to go buy a new one or whatever the case was, and it was awful. And like where I am in Canada at that point, we were still on 90 ping before they moved. So any disrupt and you were immediately like 150, 200 ping, and it was a nightmare.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like whenever you have, or like, I had that shitty rural DSL internet. Any interruption means I'm either disconnecting from the game or everything goes into like weird rubber band horse shit with packet loss,
Oh yeah.
to where it's like unplayable because you're shooting skill shots at where somebody was like 3 seconds ago.
Yep.
If you are playing on Wi-Fi, stop it.
Yep.
Like, stop it. It's just a bad idea. Figure out a way to run a plug to it. Whether you have to go through that thing I'm talking about or whatever, it's just way better. And the reason this really came up is because he didn't know that, and I thought he would have, but he didn't know that. And then he said, "Oh, I went ahead and hardwired it," and he uploaded what his logs look like. He had 0 packet loss and 25 ping whenever he's hardwired. It was like a stable 25 ping, no packet loss. So just a piece of IT advice there to close out the show. Uh, yeah, don't play over Wi-Fi, please.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to mention about Wi-Fi in particular is the more devices that you have in your phone or in your house that connect Wi-Fi to your router, the more signal interruption you're going to experience, and the less reliable your Wi-Fi is going to be. So if you have like 5 people in your house and they all have cell phones, your Wi-Fi is going to suck ass.
Yep.
Okay? All right, actually I missed it. We have one more question. Are chickens the best camp start in the jungle? Which champs should start on that camp?
It's not the best camp to start. It is the fastest way to get level 4 There's a certain clear. I don't know it. I don't jungle. I just know it exists, and I know you have to start chickens, and I know your mid laner has to leash.
Okay. So the answer is which champions start that camp? Champions that have AoE. Like
Well,
easy
you also need
AoE
a
in their
leash
camp.
from a mid laner, though. Like,
Sure.
that start specifically is fast because, like, you already throws a Q through the chickens.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to have somebody who has AoE as mid
Like, if you have a Talon that took Q first, don't start chickens.
Right. Right. You want like an Ari or a Ziggs or
A Lux, so
a
she can throw an
Lux.
E over the wall or
Yeah, some shit like
something.
that. That's the kind of
Yeah.
thing that you want, and then you also want to be playing like Amumu.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody who's going to be able to clear that AoE style. Because if you have to like hit each one a couple of times, you're going to take way too much damage for that clear to be viable.
Yeah.
But if
Amumu's
you
one of the
can
better
do it,
candidates for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you can do it, then it's a really good EXP drop. Like you
Yeah,
get
because
a
I
ton
think
of
it's
EXP for it.
like chickens, red, wolves, blue, grop, and you're like level 4 and then some. And if the other jungler didn't do it, you're like a level and a half up on or something.
Right. So I mean, all that's solid, and that's who you would do it on. Is you focus on champions that have an 8 AOE or really healthy early clears or like good jungle sustain.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Graves can do it.
Yeah,
another
but
one.
he's also like the best clearing jungle, you know.
Ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a jungle clear wet dream. So
Yeah.
there you go. And that was from Mattumbo J. Thank you, Mattumbo J. I appreciate your question. I hope we answered
Yeah.
it for you, buddy.
Thanks, man.
All right, well, Tyler, that brings us to the end of probably the best two-man LOLA podcast in history. Thoughts or reflections, buddy?
I think we should do it more. I think Sam Han should make this a regular thing.
Just a two-man show. I mean, do we even
Yeah.
need the rest of the cast?
I mean, I think we can handle this. I mean, 2-man, we were wondering if we could carry a full show, and look at this.
Well, these
we're
have
doing
been
good.
traditionally unsuccessful in the past. I mean, it's
We just didn't have the right combination to do it, and now we know.
Well, to be fair, Ernie shines in a three-man environment,
That's true.
and he flounders in a two-man one.
Well, I mean, he's the wild card kid, right? So
Well,
he has to
and,
carry
you
multiple
know,
people.
The other thing is, like, if you put me and Brad together in a two-man, like, nothing ever gets talked about.
Yeah.
Like,
Stories.
we tried to do that once, and we immediately deleted the recording and then burned the hard drive that was stored on.
Yeah, and just called it a lost episode. Be like, something
Yeah.
happened.
Oh,
Oh,
audio problems.
no. Brad's mic again.
We did European accents the entire time. It was just, it was great.
Yeah.
But,
the only
anyway.
thing that I will throw in quickly is I keep seeing people, the plays people are sharing, because I searched up our hashtag on plays, and we're getting a lot of shit in there, and I'm really happy about that. Like, people, and okay, if I see your name and you're sharing plays with that hashtag and you're not in the Discord, you need to
What the
fix
fuck
that.
are you doing?
Yeah,
Get in the
like,
Discord.
get the fuck in here, play the game with us, so we can be in there.
Yeah, I want to
We
be
got
in your
people in here
place.
all the time. Come play games. Don't be just solo hashtagging that LOLA plays. Come play with us.
Yeah, I want to be the guy that you kill in that awesome play you made.
I want to be the guy that steals your penta and you get salty about it and I put a hashtag LOLA penta.
Then you write like in the comments, this play could have been so much better if you'd only gotten the Pinta.
See, you could have gotten the penta if you listened to episode 138 and
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
yeah.
Oh, one more thing. Shout out to Scott McCarter. Congratulations on your lovely baby tonight.
Hey, congrats.
Yeah, he's him and the wife are inducing tonight, so it'll either be tonight or early morning tomorrow. But they'll have a lovely baby
Well,
girl
congratulations.
by the time this airs. So congratulations, Scott. You deserve a year of hell.
Something only another parent could say. If I said that, I'm a dick.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you said that, it's advice.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's actually like has a kid that's much older than Max, so I mean, he knows what he's in for.
Yeah.
He knew what he did. Anyway, enjoy your baby girl, brother, and congratulations.
Yeah. And to any students listening, remember to take care of yourself. It's exam season. I know on my border and our southern neighbors, take care of yourself, get sleep, don't play a league until 1 in the morning. Be in the day you have an exam at 9 a.m. Take care of yourself. You got this. Take a deep breath. We'll make it through this together.
All right. Avoid unplanned pregnancies. Don't be like Scott. Anyway, all right. Well, with that being said, good night, everybody!
Good night.
All right. So we're going to stop streaming now. Are we good?
Yeah.
All right.